joined us today. We welcome all people, no matter who you are or where you are in your life. We welcome you, whether you are listening online, either live right now or on our recording, or whether you're right here in the room with me. Welcome. Our center reflects the beautiful, diverse tapestry of life. So we welcome you, whoever you are, whatever path brought you here today. Know that you are in the right place and that this is the right time for you. We know that you are an individualized expression of the divine life in which we all live. You are welcome to participate here today and to become part of this community. We hope that those of you who are watching our broadcast on social media will like and share it with your friends. For a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, let's listen now to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And
a few of the Declaration of Principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful. Hey. The full declaration is available on our website, cslmidtown.org. Well, good morning again. My name is Judy Ailey, and I am the practitioner for today's service. The yearly global theme that we are studying this year, as stated by Ernest Holmes, is be open at the top. In other words, be open to new ideas, to the ever-evolving nature of life and of this teaching as well. And welcome to May. Can you believe it's May? I can't believe it's May. This month's theme is divine doubt. Today, our topic is self-doubt as a starting point. And today's affirmation is, I accept my doubt as the opportunity to learn. This is an interesting topic to me. In my early years as part of this teaching, I always felt that it was somehow taboo to express any kind of doubt. Any doubt in the teaching whatsoever was just not allowed. If you're having a bad day, just don't tell anybody about it, because it wasn't kosher in religious science or where you came from. This week, I think we are saying it's okay to express doubt and to face inner doubt. And that when we get caught up in just always being positive or always looking on the bright side of things. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but sometimes we're just not there, and that's not our authentic selves. When we think we are not enough, we get caught up in similar thinking, and we can get really stuck. We think there's something wrong with us. When we have an awareness of our self-doubt, we can actually face it and deal with it. It's when we ignore it and don't face it and push it down, it can become problematic. I think self-doubt is a natural part of being human. It doesn't mean that you're flawed in any way. There's no shame in it either. And any doubt about the truth of our teaching, that we all have that at times. Sometimes in spiritual communities, you have to always be upbeat or positive, but maybe you have something really tough going on in your life, and the message you get is, you created that, get over it. It can be really hard. I think we are called in this spiritual community and this spiritual practice to be who we authentically are. And if this includes doubt or a bad day, so be it. It is said here that we want to be who we are. Doubt is not a taboo experience. I think when we share our doubt and our struggles with others, it provides an opportunity to connect with other people, and it provides an opportunity for. So self-doubt is normal. It's not something to be ashamed of. It gives us an honest opportunity to build our faith, so that when we have self-doubt and we do treatment and we do prayer and we see the results of that, our doubt can wane. What doubts or uncertainties are you hiding? I believe that all things are possible in this teaching, even overcoming doubt and self-doubt. We have to be honest with ourselves and start where we are to build stronger belief and faith. All right, well, those are my ideas about this. And right now, I would like to lead us in a spiritual mind treatment for this day. And so it's great to see a few more people have come in. So thank you all for being here. But anyway, let's just take a few moments to be quiet and maybe take some nice, slow, deep breaths and allow your mind and your heart to be fully present right here, right now in this moment. Knowing that the present moment is the place of creativity. It's the place of power. It's really what we have, this present moment. And as I sink into this present moment, into the quietness of it, I recognize and know that spirit is all there is, that God is everywhere present, in, around, through me, in, around, and through all that I see of what appears to be outside of myself. That this presence is a good. It is love, it is peace, it is joy, it is abundance, it is endless creativity and new ideas. And I know that I am, and that we are each always one with this presence. We are never separated from it. And we just allow that presence to flow into our lives and through us right here and right now. And we know that it is good, and that we know our lives, that they matter, that we matter, and that we each are enough just the way we are. We let go of struggle and strain. We let go of trying to make certain things happen, trying to make it better, trying to help other people make it better. Instead, we accept and just sink into the present moment and the presentness of who we are, and know that, yes, it is all good. I turn away from any ideas of doubt, fear, worry, ideas of not having enough or not being enough, or, oh, the world, there's so many things going on in it. It can't ever get any better. I turn away from that kind of thinking and know that this presence and this power is all that there is. I was going to say it's strong. Well, it's more than strong. It is what it is. So I'm just grateful for this. I'm grateful for being here today, knowing that in truth, all is well. So I release this treatment now with great thanksgiving and the great expectation of good in my life and the lives of all who are listening here. So I release this now, and so it is. Well, we have a treat today. We have somebody new. Reverend Becca Borst is Associate Minister at Trinity Center for Spiritual Living, which is one of the centers here in Atlanta. And she is here to present our talk today. She has blended her background as a teacher and a public speaker with her passion for spiritual principle. Her ministry has evolved organically and authentically, and she has lived this teaching. She has been part of Trinity since 2021 and serves on the Reiki team as well as the board of directors. She is currently studying and working on her doctorate through Emerson Theological Institute. I'm very happy to welcome this morning Reverend Becca Borst. Am I saying your name right?
Borst, yes,
Borst.
yes.
Okay, great. I should have asked you before this. Welcome. I guess you don't need
Thank
this.
you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today, and I really appreciate the invite. So as I was preparing for this talk this morning, I had seen several services online here before, but it had been a while. So I took the liberty of taking a look at last month's service to kind of get how the flow went here. And I noticed that Reverend Dr. John Karn was speaking, and he picked Diana Ross for his music. And I immediately doubted my selection. Immediately. Don't get me wrong, Karen Drucker is amazing and beautiful, but Diana Ross, 2 snaps on that selection. But that's not really the kind of doubt that I wanted to talk about today. It's what kind of led into it. The type of doubt we want to talk about today is a real kind of doubt, a doubt that we don't necessarily talk about a lot in spiritual circles, the kind of doubt that really shakes yourself to your core, that makes you question yourself, the kind of doubt where you hesitate and maybe even question whether you're on the right path or on the right journey. Sometimes we can feel uncertain about where things are going, and doubt can creep in. And this is what I've been sitting with. What if doubt isn't something that we really need to fix? What if it's not that low vibrational pattern that we're immediately like, oh, nope, got to correct that and raise my vibration immediately? What if it's a signal? What if it's a stepping stone onto a path for a greater awareness? What if it's actually guiding us in something that we need to be listening to? What if it's an invitation to something better and greater? Emmett Fox has a great quote that says, "Your life is what your thoughts make it." And so, yes, our thoughts are creative. That's what we are at the core of our being. That's what we're here to do. That's what we embody and embrace throughout our teaching. But not all thoughts are meant to be kept. Some thoughts are meant to be outgrown. And so part of why self-doubt feels so convincing is because we are wired. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And our human nature, our physical human body, is hardwired for negative bias. Did you know that? Our brains do that automatically. That's not even something we control, but we are much more physically likely to hold on to things that are negative than we are to embrace what is positive. We notice those things more. That is a negativity bias. That means that our brain is naturally scanning for what's wrong, but our brains, much like our ego, is trying to protect us. It's trying to keep things predictable. And sometimes that can be beneficial in life. But at some point, that conditioned behavior begins to affect everything around us, and it's no longer helpful for us. So when something new is trying to emerge, our brain doesn't always interpret something new as expansion. It interprets it as a threat, and that's when doubt starts to show up. But let's layer that with some spiritual truth. Ernest Holmes teaches us in The Science of Mind that we do not control the law, we use it. The law is always working. We know that the law is always responding to life, whether we are consciously using it or whether we are unconsciously aware of it and still identified with it. And whatever we are personally identified within ourselves is what gets projected into our journey around us. That's what's creating in our journey. It responds to all of that. So when we've been identifying ourselves with old narratives, old beliefs, old ways of seeing ourselves, then of course those thoughts are the ones that show up first. That's what shows up in our experience first. And neuroscience supports this through something called neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is whenever we do something over and over and over again, that repeated pattern, our brains automatically go to that pattern first. It identifies with what is familiar, not necessarily with what is good. It becomes automatic. And so all those old narratives become who we think we are. But that's not who we are at the core of our being. And sometimes we have to fight that physiological aspect of ourselves in order to remind us of the light beings that we truly are. So when self-doubt shows up, it's not telling you the truth. Your brain's lying. It's lying to you. But it may be revealing a pattern that you've practiced because it's pointing out something that's familiar. But here's where we take this a little bit deeper. What if it's not just a pattern, but it's actually the signal? What if in that moment of doubt, we can step back and recognize what self-doubt is and say, what is it that's trying to emerge here? What is the pattern that I'm in this moment when self-doubt arises? Because every time we grow spiritually and we see that there's something within us that doesn't fit where we are anymore, we outgrow an old identity. We don't just outgrow people, places, things, situations. We outgrow ourselves and the way that we think that we are and how we show up. And there's a moment when that old identity is falling away, but the new awareness hasn't really stabilized yet. And in that space can feel a lot like doubt. Because at the deepest level, Ernest Holmes teaches us that we are creators of divine operation. So you are not trying to become something new. There's nothing new about anything that's unfolding within you or around you. You are coming into a greater awareness of what you actually are and where you are. Sometimes that doesn't come easy. Sometimes that comes as disruption. Sometimes it shakes us to the core of who we are before we can rebuild into something greater. Spiritual growth isn't linear, right? Self-doubt can be used as a stepping stone on a mountain. And if we think about our spiritual growth and spiritual enlightenment as a journey, we don't go from being human one day and living in our ego and our human awareness into being spiritually enlightened beings the next day, right? We have progress in that. Maybe you can say that you let that person cut you off in traffic today and you didn't even yell at them. Maybe there was a coworker that drives you crazy, but you practiced enlightenment, you recentered, and you let it go. Maybe your spouse drove you crazy, but you chose happiness instead of being right. And so that, hashtag enlightenment. But that's just a little bit of progress, right? The real enlightenment, the real piece of our journey is like going up a mountain, not from one point to another, but each individual step, leading us a little bit closer to our own divinity, aligning us a little bit closer with a higher awareness of who we are. So spiritual progress is not just external, it's internal, right? And those moments of self-doubt can absolutely point us to something greater that is trying to evolve. And every time that we recenter ourselves in that oneness, that's when evolution really starts to take place. Another quote that I love from Ernest Holmes is about how we mirror everything, and life mirrors us. Life is a mirror. It will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. So if life reflects thinking, then as our awareness evolves, our thinking begins to shift, and our experience shifts with it. But that transition point can feel really uncomfortable because we're no longer fully aligned with the old story, but we haven't necessarily embraced or embodied the new one yet. And I'd like to share a personal story about a big moment of self-doubt and how that kind of played out in my life. Last year, I was having a big moment of self-doubt and I was sitting in a lot of anger. And I've learned that when I get angry, I need to move my body. That's the first thing I need to do. And so I tend to go on a walk. I go through a walk through a path with trees, and I connect with nature. I connect with source. I start having conversations with source and with my soul self. And in this moment, I was kind of reflecting on my life because I have been on a spiritual journey most of my life. And if I told you my story, you would look at me and be like, oh, of course you're a minister. It's exactly what you were supposed to do this whole time. But I had this big moment of doubt where I thought, you know what, I'm meeting all these new people and I'm not connecting with these people on a deeper level that I want to. And that can be really challenging sometimes because when you try to embody the light within yourself and it shines bright, that light can trigger everyone else's light around you. But then it also triggers ego. Ego doesn't like it when light gets triggered. And so then other people get really interested and they're like, I love the way you think about the world. I'm learning so much from you. But when they figure out that this is a full-time thing for me and that I walk through my life like this, they're not necessarily aligned with where I am, and they decide that they don't want to do that. And so I was in my head, I was in self-pity, I was in self-doubt. Can I truly demonstrate what I want in my life? Can I truly bring forward the things that I want? Am I even on the right path? Should I even be a minister? Should I even be walking an enlightened path at all? I mean, because we get a choice, right? We're fully supported by the universe no matter what we want to do. We get a choice in how we want to show up in the world. And so I had all of this self-doubt, and I'm walking along this path, and I notice that I am noticing a piece of paper on the ground. And I'm like, why am I noticing that paper? And I hear this little voice in the back of my head say, pick it up. Everybody know that voice? Raise your hand if you know that voice, right? Whether you think it's source, your intuition, your guides, whatever, I've learned that I have to listen to that voice. But I was in my petulant teenager mode, as I like to call it, and I said, no, I'm not picking it up. And I heard practitioner vows. And I went, oh. Because when you become a religious science practitioner, you take a vow to be a good steward of the environment. And I knew that. And I said, fine, I'll pick it up. And so the piece of paper that I picked up and I held in my hand in that moment was a minister's license. It was a blank minister's license with a spot for a name that no one had written in. And that message on the other side of it said this. It said, the herein person agrees to walk in the light of God's word as concerns conduct, worship, and the obedience to the revealed will of God. This shall apply both in pre-established standards of conduct and individual matters of quittance and daily service. The bearer shall relinquish this card voluntarily if at any time he shall cease to uphold the standards of holiness set forth in the scriptures or to walk in the obedience to the revealed will of God. And I stood there looking at that. And you know what the first thing I did was? I went right into my human nature and doubted that it was a sign. And I looked around for another piece of paper, like, is there a sign of your sign somewhere? No. And then I went, there was nothing. There was not another single piece of paper, another single piece of trash. And then I laughed at myself because that is a burning bush moment, right? That it could not be more clear that that was a sign to me directly from source. But my human nature and my brain as a human goes directly into self-doubt, even in the biggest signs. And then that made me kind of question the whole story about the burning bush and the voice. And I'm wondering if the voice had to come to Moses on the mountain during that burning bush moment because it knew that in Moses's human condition, he could not look at that burning bush and see it as a sign. Maybe the voice had to be added to it with instructions because God knows that our human forms can question anything, right? So the first thing I did is I went home and cried the rest of the way home after realizing that I was worthy enough to have this sign, and that's exactly what happened. And then I pulled up the video of my ordination to see exactly what I committed to. I recommitted to those things myself. I printed them out, and I have a section in my bedroom where I work on personal inner work, and I printed them there, and now I look at them all the time to reaffirm. I recognized through that doubt that was a stepping stone for me to reorient myself in that moment. And that stepping stone ended up leading me on a whole path down the darkest night of the soul I have ever had, where I had to face things about myself I did not want to face, didn't like who I was anymore, had to figure all of that out. And as I moved through that, I was also hit with doubt because I had done so much release work, but I wasn't seeing any positive results. I was seeing a lot of positive results, little things, noticing, oh, here's my growth, here's my growth, here's my growth. But I wasn't getting the end results that I really wanted as I was coming out of that. And so I started to doubt that again. And I had to go back in that. I had to, am I doing the right thing? Am I releasing things the right way? Right? And I had to go back in and have another conversation with Source and go, what am I doing? And then I realized, well, what does the law of attraction do? When we're in a cycle, and we're in a pattern, no matter what the pattern is, it brings more of that to us, right? We attract more of that to us. So that was a sign for me. That self-doubt was a sign for me to step out of the release work and get into a solution, to get into new experiences. It's time to really stop focusing on the release and the fixing and all of that, and to really allow new experiences to come forward. And now I stand in my light in a greater space than I've ever stood before. I have made new friends that connect with me on the level that I am at. I don't shrink my light anymore to try to keep connections with other people. I just stand in my truth of who I am, and I allow the universe to bring the people that are meant to me into my life. And the experiences I get to experience with them are amazing. And I have lots of fun. You can find me on Thursday nights now at a country bar, of all things. You'd never think you'd hear me say that. But it turns out that learning how to two-step with a really pretty tall blonde is exactly what I enjoy happening on a Thursday night. It's a lot of fun. So the more intentional we are about using self-doubt and recognizing it as a sign that we are ready, not just open at the top for new possibilities, but open at the top for a greater awareness of who we are, of where we are and maybe where we're going to go and where we're growing. So in religious science, we do talk about being open at the top, which of course is our theme. And we've got to make sure that we're not just looking at the things around us, that we look at our inner work too as being open at the top. Not open up at the top there, but open up at the top here. Because we all have limits. We place limits on ourselves through conditioning, through patterns of behavior. And if we're not willing to consider the fact that there is no ceiling, that we can continue growing, maybe where we are right now is not working for us the way that it could be or the way that it used to anymore because we've outgrown it. This isn't about forcing ourselves to think better thoughts. It's about allowing ourselves to have the awareness to evolve. It's about recognizing that when self-doubt shows up, that there is a greater awareness trying to evolve. Because when awareness evolves, new thoughts become natural, new perspectives become available, new goodness reveals itself. Don't force expansion. We can't force expansion. You become available to it, and then you create from it at every part of your journey. So I'd like to take just a few minutes and try to experience this with you. I'd like to take you through a quick practice, if you don't mind. So if you're here, just get comfortable. If you're at home, get comfortable. If you are driving, please don't do this exercise now. Come back and watch it later. But let's just get settled and comfortable. Let's just start and take a deep breath in. Deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, just relax your body from your head all the way down to your toes. And we're going to do that a couple more times. Just deep breath in through your nose. And exhale and relax. And one more time, deep breath in through your nose. And exhale and relax. And I'd like you to bring to your mind an area where you feel self-doubt. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't look at it as wrong. Just notice it. And now ask yourself, what part of me no longer feels aligned with this? Not what's wrong, but what's ready to shift. Take another deep breath in and gently ask, what might be trying to emerge here? Not forcing an answer, but just being open. Knowing that there's nothing to be done, that everything is in right and perfect order. And we're just bringing awareness. And affirm quietly to yourself, I am open to a greater awareness of who I am. Let's do that 2 more times. I am open to a greater awareness of who I am. I am open to a greater awareness of who I am. That's the shift. The shift from fixing to listening, from forcing to allowing, from doubt to deeper awareness. Take another deep breath in and exhale. And feel that peace within you. When it feels right, just open your eyes. We teach a lot, we learn a lot, we say a lot. It's our words, our thoughts, our actions that truly bring forth the alignment that we're looking for, that truly bring forth the oneness and the growth and the expansion. So let's bring this together. Remember that the brain may default into old patterns. The law responds to what we identify with, not just what we think or what we say, but what we feel and what we identify, what we truly believe in our hearts. That's what the law picks up on. Awareness allows these patterns to shift, not judgment, not fixing, just awareness. And you are not your past thinking. Self-doubt isn't here to stop you. It may be here to show you. It may be here to show you that you are no longer who you thought you were. So what if self-doubt isn't questioning your worth, but inviting you into a deeper understanding about what's already true about you? And what if your only job is just to stay open to it, to discover it? And that's where your journey begins this week and where our lesson ends today. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.
It's all good. Thank you, Reverend Becca. What an awesome talk this morning. Yeah, because we all have this self-doubt stuff we need to go through. So it's now time for our New Minister Sacred Covenant Easy Prayer. And I'm going to read this. You can read this with me if you want. You can download this on the website, cslmidtown.org. There's only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. And knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of spirit as principle. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by God. For it is written, principle is not bound by precedent. It operates according to law and is always available to those who are willing to align themselves with it. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister before me as inspiring spiritual oneness through wisdom, love, and authenticity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspired to live as love in the expression of principle. I am awakening the wisdom within me by clearly communicating the principles of universal truth. I am a conduit of divine love, wisdom, and healing energy, recognizing the inherent wholeness within all beings. I'm offering teachings, classes, and mystical studies grounded in spiritual principles to cultivate inner wisdom, personal transformation, and empowered living. I'm extending the love, compassion, and transformative power of spirit into the wider community, fostering connections that heal, uplift, and support individuals in their unique journeys. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will express spirit and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful. God is gracious. And so it is. The affirmation of prosperity. So you can donate at cslmidtown.org/donate. You can scan the QR code, do that. If you're online listening to this, please consider donating even just a little bit. $5 a month, every month would be very beneficial. If you are getting fed by this, we'd like to continue this work to give this to you. So thank you so much for that. So let's say our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Reverend James Peake will be our speaker next week. You welcome him back. His debuting the doubting self. That should be an interesting talk. This whole month about divine doubt is interesting. And if you want to study more, do more, every Sunday at 10 a.m. we have a study group. They meet online on our Zoom call. So you can cslmidtown.org, scroll down. There's a link to the Zoom channel with a passcode that will let you in the room. And they're working on the science of mind. You've got a little bit left to go in that. And then they're discussing what the next book they're going to study is. But you don't have to read it. You can come join, do that at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And that's a great thing. And now let's do our affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. So it is.